I've won the 2017 Community Service of the Year Award, and I hold one of the highest executive leaderships that you can have in law enforcement, known as the FBI Law Enforcement Executive Development Association Trilogy Award. And what that is your supervisory, command, and executive levels. It's a 3-tier training seminar, and you got to attend all 3 of those in order to get the trilogy. So I'm the only one that has that trilogy award.
Hello everyone, this is Zaire Media. I am Mir Azharuddin. My guest today is Nabil Shike.
Shike.
Nabil Shike, that's right. So Nabil Shike, before we get into this, let's talk about your family roots. Where's your family from?
So my parents immigrated here in the 1960s from Pakistan. My mom is from Karachi, Pakistan. My dad is from Lahore, Pakistan. But my family is Kashmiri.
Okay.
So they immigrated here in the 1960s. I've lived in Houston pretty much their entire life. I was born in Houston. I have 6 brothers and sisters.
Wow.
I've been married, alhamdulillah, for 9.5 years. I have 2 beautiful little girls, a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Okay.
And I grew up in the Alief area. Moved to Fort Bend County back in 2005. Graduated from George Bush High School, and became a cop back in 2014.
Nice. What college did you go to?
I graduated from Lamar University.
Lamar University?
Yeah, with a bachelor's degree.
Criminal justice?
In criminal justice.
Nice.
Correct.
That's what I'm getting from UHD.
Okay, mashallah.
University
Cool.
in downtown. So how was you becoming a cop like? What did your family say? Because
So,
usually brown people don't.
Yeah, I started working in the oil and gas, and I was making really good money. And my dad owned a security and investigating company, so I worked with him as a security officer, and then I did private investigating. And as I was doing that, I talked to cops all the time. They were like, "Hey, you're already doing this. Why don't you go become a cop?" So I went home, talked to my wife, and she was like, "Okay." Kind of hesitant a little bit because of the dangers that the job can bring. So I ended up going through a police academy, and while I was working oil and gas, I actually fell off of a 100-foot tank and dislocated my shoulder. And I went up to my wife and I said, "You see, you never know where you and when you can die. I could have died that day." And so she was like, "Okay." Became a reserve police officer to start off because I was making really good money at that other job. And as I started working as a police officer, I just fell in love with it and decided to do it full time.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else should people know about you that they don't already know?
So basically my experience, I've been a police officer since 2014. I do have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I'm an advanced police officer. I have over 5,400 training and education hours with the Texas Commission of Law Enforcement. I've been a police sergeant. I'm a field training officer, so you train other police officers. I'm also a police instructor. I've won the 2017 Community Service of the Year Award, and I hold one of the highest executive leaderships that you can have in law enforcement, known as the FBI Law Enforcement Executive Development Association Trilogy Award. And what that is your supervisory, command, and executive levels. It's a 3-tier training seminar, and you got to attend all 3 of those in order to get the trilogy. So I'm the only one that has that trilogy award. Pretty much what we're trying to bring into the Fort Bend County Precinct 4 Constable's office, and what actually sparked me to want to run. The current constable that is sitting there right now, I had a conversation with him and I asked him, "Hey constable, why isn't there any diversity on your command staff?" And his exact response to me was, "I haven't found a qualified minority." And that kind of struck me, because there are countless qualified minorities that work in and around the Houston area, including some of my mentors. And so when I heard that, I was like, okay, something needs to be done. So on the day one after I'm elected, inshallah, I'm going to hire a qualified, diverse command staff that represents the diversity of our community. Fort Bend County is the most diverse county in the nation, and Precinct 4 is the most diverse precinct within Fort Bend County. So we need to have, especially in your law enforcement side, you have to have the diversity that reflects the community. So on day one, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to have mandatory body cameras for our deputies and our supervisors, anybody that comes in contact with the public. We're going to also implement a citizens review board. And what that citizens review board is it's citizens like yourself that live within Fort Bend County, Precinct 4, different ethnicities, different backgrounds, different socioeconomic backgrounds, different professions. and they're all part of this board. And when we have new policy changes, when we have officer complaints, or we have investigations on use of forces, we sit down with that board along with our command or our internal affairs investigators, and they sit down together and collectively we decide what we're going to do. I think that's being very transparent and inclusive to the community. We also have a program known as the Are You OK program, and what that program does is it caters directly to our senior citizens. So if you have a senior citizens that live within Precinct 4, we basically register them and their next of kin. So, their children or, other family members that are close to them. And what we do is on a daily basis, we call them. And after the third attempt, if we don't get a response from them, we send a deputy out there to check on their welfare. And once we make sure that everything is good, we log it that we checked on them on this day and this time, and then we notify their next of kin to let them know that, hey, they are okay, we've already checked on them. So I'm very proud to be able to implement that program. We're also looking to be a state and nationally recognized police agency through best practices, which nobody in Fort Bend County currently has. And then, we see all this social unrest that's going on around the country and all these other cities that are going on right now with officer-involved shootings and everything. So, this is a 20th century problem. We need 21st century solutions. And that is why I'm implementing the 21st century police model that President Barack Obama signed into law back in 2015. And that emphasizes heavily on community-oriented policing, proactive rather than reactive patrols, officer wellness, officer training, traffic mobility, all while rebuilding trust and legitimacy. So, that's just a couple of things that we are going to do. We also are looking to partner with the Fort Bend County District Attorney's Office to combat human and sex trafficking. And so I'm very proud to be able to do that. I've been endorsed by the DA, Brian Middleton, by our County Judge, KP George, State Representative Ron Reynolds, our Harris County Precinct 2 Commissioner, former Sheriff of Harris County, and City Councilman. Goodness, what's his name? I'm sorry. His name is Adrian Garcia. I'm sorry, I was about to say Ed Gonzalez, but Adrian Garcia. And then I have endorsements from Engage, Texas Tejano Democrats, our Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, our Houston, Texas Muslim Democrats, our AFL-CIO Labor Union, which is the largest labor. It's a collection of all the labor unions in the country, and the Texas Gulf Coast area. They've also endorsed me. Our 80-20 PAC from our Asian Americans. So just compare myself to my opponent. I have all these people that are coming in and supporting us, these organizations that are supporting us because they believe in what we are trying to do. So that's pretty much about myself and what we are planning to bring into the Fort Bend County Precinct 4 Constable's office.
Okay, that's wonderful. What would you want to say to the parents that are watching that are forcing their kids into not doing criminal justice or forcing them to do something else that not in their passion? Because you did criminal justice because that's your passion.
Yes.
What would you want to tell the parents and kids that are watching?
So especially from our Dacey community, being doctors is great, being engineers is great, being attorneys is great, but we have to actually, in order to have a seat at the table, you want to be more diverse and more expanding into everything. So I encourage everybody to want to get into law enforcement, to want to get into the media, and want to get into, other things that are not traditional to our own customs. And that's how we actually have that seat at that table. If just a crazy stat out there, I'm going to be, inshallah, the very first ever elected constable or sheriff that is Desi, that is Pakistani, that is Muslim in the entire country. And this is 2020 right now.
Yeah.
So that that's we're breaking barriers, breaking ground, making history. And it's a blessing, but it's also sad that we're in 2020 and that's what we're doing right now. But we're going to continue to keep pushing, and I encourage all families and parents to encourage their children to pursue their dreams.
The dreams are more important than money, right?
Yeah, money's always good, but money doesn't buy you happiness. It can buy you a lot of other things in life, but pursue what you want to do in life. And I encourage my daughters. One wants to be a veterinarian, one wants to be a dentist, and then they say, "Daddy, I want to be a police officer like you." And sometimes I get caught in my own thing, and I'm like, "No, baby, why do you want to be a police officer?" And she says, "Well, Daddy, because you're a police officer." So instead of pushing them away from it, I say, "Baby, you can be whatever you want to be." You know,
Okay.
just study hard and focus on whatever you want to do.
Okay. When are this election dates starting and ending?
So we are currently in early voting right now. We started on October 13th, and we're going to continue to go to October 30th. Right now, it's pretty much from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. The last, I believe it's 2 or 3 days, the hours are extended to 9 p.m. of early voting. And then election day is going to be Tuesday, November 3rd. So please, we're having historic numbers coming out right now. We need to mobilize all of our voters, whether you're going to vote Democrat or Republican. I am a Democrat, so I'm going to tell you guys to vote Democrat. But just as long as you're coming out and executing the most important right you have as an American, and that is voting.
Before we leave, what should we this coronavirus, how has this affected everything?
So, I'm standing here right now with the mask on.
Yeah.
Masks, you got to believe in science. Currently we have a president that allowed over 200,000 people to ultimately die from this pandemic. Had we listened to our scientists and our doctors, maybe we could have saved those lives. So wearing masks is very important. It has also been a challenge, getting out to the voters. And I'm a very people's person, so I like actually conversating and talking to people. But we got to maintain our 6 feet distance here at the polls. They do have social distancing. They have hand sanitizers. They're very safe in how they're conducting these elections. And don't let the pandemic stop you from getting out there and vote. It's crucial. This is the most important election of our lifetime, and it's going to dictate not only our future but our children and generations to come.
Yes.
So we have to participate in this election.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So everyone, go vote. Al Rabaa is here in New Territory. Come here, vote, and at the closest location to you. That's pretty much it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother.
Good having you on the show.